YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with an updated 2-round NFL mock draft after these pro days. Some big movement for prospects after these pro days here. A lot of buzz, some news, rumors around the NFL, and I got my latest thoughts and predictions here in this mock draft. Feeling pretty good about it. We got somewhat of a big trade. It's in the top 10, so we'll call that a big trade. And with one of those teams, both those teams, there's been some buzz on they can move. One will move up for a certain player or two, and they have a couple options, and another team kind of wants to move back perhaps. So we'll break that down as well, break down all these picks. Follow our Twitter, fan voted mock draft going on there. A lot of NFL talk. We'll be talking live during the NFL draft, breaking everything down, giving you my thoughts. So join us there. Subscribe on the channel for all that NFL content. Check out walkthemock.com. You see underneath me. There's also a link in the comment section. Use code GOATHOUSE. It's where we run our member mock drafts. Where you play GM for a team. Doing more of those. There's some videos on those on the channel. Here's our Twitter at GoatHouseNFL. Fan vote. Here's the good look at the fan voted mock draft. Make sure you follow that. I can't always make every mock draft into a video too. Sometimes I'll just tweet out. Especially getting closer to the draft. So I'll tweet out my updated mock drafts if it's a day later after I made one or something like that. So you're gonna want to follow that Twitter. Definitely important there. Check it out. Link pinned in the comments for anything you need. First 8 picks, we'll break them all down. You see that trade. We'll break that down as well and what happened with the Lions as well. Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars. This is going to be the pick. If it's not, they really fooled us. It's going to be the pick there. Urban Meyer would be a sneaky move, because it really feels like that they're committed. I think he's actually said that they're pretty much committed to Lawrence. So I expect it to be the pick. Zach Wilson, pick 2. I talk about it all the time. It's still that small thought in the back of our mind that what if they stick with Darnold? What if the Niners somehow knew that Wilson was going to be there? That's why they traded up. It sticks in the back of your mind a little bit, but I really don't think so. It's a good fit with that new coaching staff. Rare talent, phenomenal prospect here, elite quarterback prospect. The Jets take him. They get going with this new quick turnaround. It's going to be a quick turnaround here, starting with Zach Wilson and the guys they kind of just brought in, and young guys like Quinn Williams. This is where it gets interesting, ladies and gentlemen. The 49ers at pick 3. What are they going to do? I've been talking a lot about this recently. I went on a rant in the recent podcast episode. I actually uploaded that segment in a video because I liked it so much. So that is a recent video. You'll see it's a 49ers title and thumbnail. You'll see it. And that's kind of me talking what I think they should do, and that was Justin Fields. Now, this is supposed to be predict the pick, so why are you putting Justin Fields here? I think I'm predicting it that it's going to happen now because it's what they not what they should do, it's kind of what they have to do. I think they'll believe that Fields is the guy. Now, if you want to hear all my explanations, go to the video, but to sum it up, we're kind of getting fed that Trey Lance or Mac Jones is the best fit and not Fields. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't agree with it. I think Fields, those guys are good fits. Fields is at least just as much of a fit as those guys. I think more of a fit. Explain it more in that video, but he fits that Shanahan scheme. He's a pass-first guy. Even though he runs 4.4s, he's a pass-first guy. Run second, what Shanahan would like. Add that athleticism as well, especially on those bootlegs. Make teams fear that him running, but he can air it downfield. What their priority one is there to get that downfield play going. It just makes too much sense. People say Mac Jones because he's kind of the prototype guy. He looks like a Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins perhaps. And Trey Lance because he ran a lot of play action. It's just, I don't know who started that. People started to jump on. They're fits, don't get me wrong, but I think I can argue Fields is more of a fit. It's just what they got to do here. You don't trade all the way up. You don't trade all that away to take a guy that's a prototype, but not take the best quarterback, the best one, the guy with the most upside. You just don't do it. So that's why I think they should take this, but I'm starting to, they're a smart team. They traded away that much. They have to do it. They're going to, in my opinion, right now, they're going to do it, even though it does feel like it's Mac Jones right now. Maybe Trey Lance. Half the world thinks Trey Lance. Half the world, what we're being fed, it feels like it's more Mac Jones than one of those two guys. And a lot of time I kind of buy into it if I feel like it's not smoke. It really doesn't feel like smoke, to be honest, but this is what I'm predicting. I'm predicting it to be to what, it's not what they're feeding us right now. So that's my take on that. Falcons, Kyle Pitts. Don't see this too often, but it's kind of heating up, I think. Kyle Pitts, elite prospect, just a dominant player. You can use Hurst with him. You can use Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley with him. Arthur Smith coming in. They use quite a few tight ends, quite a few receivers at the same time. They like to run the ball quite a bit. It's going to be that mismatch guy that they have that they use at tight end and at receiver. You can't really compare him to Jonnu Smith, but kind of like how they had him, in Tennessee. They used him in different ways. Just too good to pass on. I think it's either Kyle Pitts, a quarterback, or trade back. That's what I'm thinking. They could use a guard. They definitely could use a guard. Maybe they don't like. The new staff doesn't like Caleb McGarry at right tackle, perhaps. Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't think so, but so maybe they take a guy like Slater who can play right tackle or guard. I don't know. They met with Pitts a ton of times. He's just an elite prospect that I don't think they can pass on here. They've been doing their homework on quarterbacks though as well. You talk about even Shanahan doesn't really go to pro days, but he did go to Mac Jones. But Arthur Smith and some of the guys in the front office have been at pretty much all these. Justin Fields, Trey Lance, all these guys. I think they would like Justin Fields. He's off the board in this scenario. It's tough to predict what the Falcons would do. I do think they are in on Kyle Pitts. Do they really need another offensive weapon? That would be the argument against it. But they don't have a guy. They don't have a guy like Kyle Pitts that can play each of those roles. Not just one of them. And then the Bengals go Jamar Chase. They very well can go offensive line. It's a possibility. I just kind of get more and more of the feeling they're doing a pretty good job of hiding it, but that they still want to stick Jonah Williams at left tackle. There's some thought they could put him at guard. Best case, maybe the best case for the offensive line is put Jonah Williams at guard. You got Riley Reiff at right tackle and draft a left tackle when Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater. That could make the offensive line even better. I kind of get the feeling they want to keep Williams at left tackle. Do they draft a guard here? They also need an outside receiver, an ex-receiver here to replace A.J. Green. They know Jamar Chase is a fit. There's quotes from teams, from scouts, from coaches saying he's a once in a lifetime receiver. Almost on that. A generational talent, on that level. It's because he is. You don't see a receiver like this. So can they pass on that? On top of all that, he has the chemistry with Joe Burrow. We know he's got the chemistry, the fit. So there's just too many things that just make sense here. So I'm going to go Chase, but again, it could be a tackle. Dolphins, I go Rashawn Slater here. I had this last time. I don't know if the Dolphins fans were in love with the idea here. It's kind of what I'm feeling. I get the feeling, I'm not guaranteeing anything. You can't guarantee anything unless it's the first pick when it comes to the draft. I kind of just get the feeling from what I've been hearing that Slater goes before Penei Sewell. The knock on Slater was his length. Well, Penei Sewell has the same knock now that he measured in, but it's not. I don't think it's a problem. If they can play, they can block, they can block. They're very good tackles. That could be worst case scenario. They're Pro Bowl guard, high end guard. Shouldn't say Pro Bowl, but I think the Dolphins had somebody in mind. I talked about this last time. They traded back and then had to trade back up. And then they had somebody in mind. And, they don't do that unless that player is there. They very well could have been okay with a number of different players, but do you trade back up to 6 and give up a future first? I know they gained one, so that's not my point. When you're okay with a few guys, when that could have been the case at 12 as well. So I think that they have somebody in mind that they think is going to be there. I think it could be Slater. He has reps to start his career at right tackle. They can put him there, or they can put him at left tackle. It just sounds like not every team, more teams like Slater more than Sewell. Why people are saying that he might go before him. Now, all it takes is one team that just likes Sewell more. I like Sewell more. It's pretty damn close. It's just my feeling right now what happens. The Broncos, there's been some buzz on them potentially trading up. It makes sense to me. For a quarterback, it's a really good quarterback class. They don't expect to be picking, 9 every single year. That roster's too good to be picking 9 every year. They're expecting to be way better. So when do they have a chance to get that quarterback? When are they going to have a chance to get that sure thing, high-end prospect quarterback? They may not have that shot. When is there a draft class like this? Never. Next year is projected 2 or 3 guys, in the first round for quarterbacks. Are they as good as these guys? Still got a year to play, but doesn't look like it. So they go up and get their, they don't have to move up far. You only move up 2 spots, hop over the Panthers, get your guy Trey Lance. I think he'll fit what they're trying to do there. They got a good mixture of play styles. You'll see a little, you see a little bit of everything there. And I think that's what Trey Lance is. That's why they'll like him quite a bit. And he brings that running ability. I know a lot of people believe in Drew Lock. He could be better, but he's not. He's still kind of a prospect in a way. That's kind of the reasoning. For Drew Lock could still be better because he doesn't have enough reps under his belt. He could still improve. You view that guy as a prospect still. That's fair. Trey Lance is a prospect. Trey Lance is a better prospect than Drew Lock. We all know that. So they got a complete team. It makes sense to do something like this. Maybe it's Mac Jones. It could even be Mac Jones. But went Trey Lance. Panthers then take Mac Jones. So the 5 quarterbacks off the board. They could like a number of these guys, like other teams. 49ers traded up with 3 because they're good with 3 or so guys. So it's kind of showing how good the quarterback class is. Panthers coached him up at the Senior Bowl. That's not a reason they would take him, but that's kind of a bonus, perhaps, that they may like him. And, I think he kind of fits that Joe Brady, Matt Rule, offense there, what they're trying to do. So, and they're a pretty good roster. They got a pretty good amount of talent. They really built that defense in a year. And they made it better this free agency, between the last year's draft and this free agency. I think that's, what they'll look to do here. And they'll be hoping that one of these guys is still on the board. So, I didn't show I don't think I showed it. The trade details here. Just Broncos Lions swap 7-9, not much. The Lions do get a 3rd round pick. So moving back 2 spots, potentially still getting your guy. Pretty good turnout for the Lions. They're getting a 3rd round pick, but the value goes up every year. We've seen teams move back a spot and get, something around this. So who knows? Maybe it could be more, but a 3rd round pick's pretty good for moving back 2 spots here. But let me go and we see the Lions. I got them taking Micah Parsons. Kind of back and forth on, Micah Parsons, DeVonta Smith. I love the DeVonta Smith fit. Will they take a receiver that high? They've added some receivers in free agency. They definitely needed a true, a better one, a true number 1. But I think Parsons could be a Campbell-type guy there. Tough dude, tough football player, high motor guy, rangy, wants to hit you in the mouth. I think, and they can use him in multiple different ways as well. But I think they'll be looking for a linebacker that could bring that, range, but mainly that blitz. I think they want to do that a little more, with this new staff, this new defense. So that could be an option for them. He had a show out, obviously at his pro day, was fantastic, freak athlete. So they go that route. Cowboys go Jaycee Horn, Surtain, both really good fits. I think I said this last time. I can see them liking Surtain a little better because of the length that he has, but Horn is just the better press man guy. Surtain's fantastic. Might have better technique. If their plan is running really man heavy, cover 1 heavy, they go Horn. If their plan is running a good mixture of things, cover. If they want to run a good chunk of cover 4 with that cover 1, then they go Patrick Surtain. So only they know what they want to do. But Dan Quinn, ran a lot of cover 1 last year into the past. I think that's what they want to do. Horn is the best just, in man coverage. Surtain's very good at it. I think Horn's better. So that doesn't mean he's better overall as a corner necessarily, but so it'd be interesting to see which one they choose. Maybe they go neither, but, so Penei Sewell ends up falling through because, that Trey, adds another quarterback. You've got 5 quarterbacks going in the top 8. And we get the feeling that Slater is going to go before Sewell. It's not a guarantee. It just takes a team to like Sewell more, which is got to be teams up there that we already covered that do like him more. But will that be the team that takes a tackle? But it sounds like Slater could go earlier. People just really like what they saw on tape from him. So Sewell ends up falling, and I don't think that whatever tackle it is, Sewell or Slater that falls, I don't think they get by this point. I don't think the Giants are coming into the draft with a set position. They're definitely not. They're not coming in with, we're going to take this. Nobody does that really. But the Giants, are definitely not doing that because they built a pretty complete roster. They got to be open to some things. If somebody falls to them, they definitely got to be open. Offensive line's been underperforming. Add a guy like Sewell. You can play him at left or right tackle. Andrew Thomas. I would like Sewell at left tackle, Andrew Thomas at right tackle, in my opinion. But either one, I'm fine with it. It's just too good to pass here, and it just protects Daniel Jones, who they're showing that they believe in. Unless they're hiding it very well, that they want to move up and take a quarterback that they feel is better than Daniel Jones. I would not be against that. I just don't think it's the case. Eagles take DeVonta Smith. Really thought about a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah here. I think it really fits. They're looking for coverage linebackers. Bringing in Jonathan Gannon, where he comes from. Colts in a Vikings tree there defensively. They're looking for coverage linebackers, so it's a strong possibility they will like him. But they need receivers so bad there. Enough messing around with the maybe receivers, the project receivers. You're in position finally to get a sure thing receiver. I mean, you can argue they were there last year, but you're really in position here. Get the guy like DeVonta Smith who can play inside and out, can just get open quickly, no problem. They could go Jaylen Waddle, and I think they go more towards the technically sound guy in DeVonta Smith, in my opinion. So they go that route. Chargers, this is tough too because they're pretty desperate for offensive line. So they would like one of those tackles. Maybe they trade up for him. Do they go with a guy like Elijah Vera-Tucker? But I think they'll think that they need some speed at receiver, and Jaylen Waddle sitting here, which it's kind of came out that there's some teams that will grade him well inside the top 10. Will those teams be up in the 10? Will they be behind the top 10? Will the teams that do value him there in the top 10 will be able to take him? Maybe they just prefer somebody else because they view that guy even higher, because there could be multiple guys they like in the top 10 up there when they're on the clock. So I think the Chargers could be one of those teams that really value that speed for, especially the downfield ability for Justin Herbert, because Keenan Allen's kind of great all over the field. I think he's a little better in the, the intermediate routes, somewhere around that range. That's where his strength is, but all over the field. So adding a guy like Waddle, and they had some under-the-radar guys who were pretty damn good downfield last year. Also keep in mind, Mike Williams probably got one more year left with the Chargers. Waddle is not like Mike Williams. They're not like each other, but just adding another receiver and getting the speed element really going to keep defenses on their toes, keeping them back, and that can open things up underneath. Guys like Eckler, even Herbert taking off and running because he's a very underrated runner. So I think they would like that, over the offensive lineman here. The Vikings in the same boat. They're pretty desperate for offensive line. They very well could go Elijah Vera-Tucker. Could be Christian Darrisaw. It just sounds like he's not going to go this early at this point. It's possible. I like the fits for Chargers or the Vikings there. But he could drop a little bit. Jason Oweh, who dominated his pro day, just an absolute freak of a pass rusher, athlete. I just, this is a Vikings type guy, in my opinion. They draft pass rushers off their, athletic traits, their physical traits, and they're very good at working with them. I compared him to Danielle Hunter. That they have Danielle Hunter. That's exactly what they did with him. Danielle Hunter didn't have a good pass rush tape back then. Oweh's is actually better, even though it's a little on the underwhelming side for the the upside that you see for him. They could just be so desperate for offensive line. It wouldn't be that desperate because Vera-Tucker is worth this pick, but they could be so desperate where they kind of just take him over a guy that just got Vikings written all over him, like Jason Oweh. It's a possibility. I'm just starting to think that it's just their guy. It could be their guy. Not guaranteeing anything here. But pair him with Danielle Hunter. There's been some reports that Danielle Hunter could be on the way out too, so they may need an edge rusher more than we think. Patriots go Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. Freak linebacker, maybe the best coverage linebacker we've ever seen in some time, but he's more than that. I think that's where the Patriots come in. He can play linebacker, he can play slot corner, he can play strong safety, he can play all three of those things, and I think that's where the Patriots come in. They would like one of those quarterbacks. They're unable to trade up in this scenario, which is a possibility. Not everyone's going to be able to trade up. Maybe they won't even try to trade up. So I think they'll feel good sitting put and taking a player like this. The Cardinals kind of get a gift here. Patrick Surtain ends up dropping. It's possible he goes to the Cowboys, but then does Horn drop. I do like the fit of Surtain with the Chargers. That's a possibility. The Patriots realistically could take a corner because Gilmore got one more year, and J.C. Jackson got the tender on him right now, so that's a possibility as well. The Cardinals grab Patrick Surtain. They're going to need, if they really want a corner, I'm not saying they need to take corner. I'm not about that. When it comes to the draft, you need to take this. I think if there's a once-in-a-lifetime player, you need to take that player. That's how, regardless of the position. That's where my head's always at. But if they are in need to take a corner, I think they need one of Horn and Surtain. Those are the best fits for them. They're going to run a lot of man coverage. They're going to press a lot. These are the guys. These are the guys. There's some other guys that potentially could do it. There's just no guarantee. There's some worry maybe that they can't do it. Do you take them up this high? So they'll like to get, maybe it's a trade-up team because they just have to get one of these corners. I'm not a big trade up for a corner guy, though. It depends on how high. I'm not in love with that. So Surtain ends up following him in this scenario. Next group of picks. Yeah, I had this last time. I saw in the comments, the Raiders fans weren't too happy with me with this pick. I like I think it's a realistic pick. Again, this is predict the pick. I think it's a very realistic pick. I think they would like Jenkins as a fit, a plug-and-play guy at right tackle. They value the offensive line. They kind of let go of some guys. I understand they had really good depth, and I'm not worried about their offensive line like most people are. Everyone's like they depleted their offensive line. Not really. They had some really good guys to step up, but it's not officially complete. It's not better. Of course, it's not better, but it could be better with an addition like Jenkins. I think they would like his style on the right side. They filled kind of pass rush defensive line. They could use a corner. I still think they'll add a veteran corner late here in free agency. I don't think they want to mess around with another rookie corner, especially at pick 17. Maybe Caleb Farley, possibility. I just think in this scenario, I think this is the route they take. The Dolphins get a gift, in my opinion, even though it's realistic. Jalen Phillips, my number one pass rusher in the class. He should be going much earlier than this, in my opinion. I'm not really worried about the concussions. I talk about it all the time. I think people blow it out of proportion. They see that he retired. You're going to take a guy that retired, medically retired, is very misleading. He's very misleading. UCLA kind of forced him to stop playing that year because he had just had too many concussions in a short period of time, and he was just coming in. He's fresh out of high school, basically. In Miami had no problem with it. They played him. They're tough over there, kind of like the NFL, but the NFL is even tougher. So I'm not really too worried about it. Dolphins get more of a pass rusher opposite of Ugba. That's why they kind of moved on from Van Noy. I think he's kind of a hybrid guy, but more of an off the ball guy. They get more of that pass rusher guy to get more, to make that defense even better. Just too good to pass. Washington takes Elijah Vera-Tucker. I mean, he can go as early as, around the Chargers pick. Chargers, Vikings, Giants, could go to the Giants if Penei Sewell's not there. Very possible. Could play tackle, could play guard. I think he'd be better at guard. Most of these good tackles will. He did show out at tackle, except when he played Kayvon Thibodeau, who might just be the best player in next year's draft class. But other than that, he played very, very well. Washington would love to have him there. Very good value pick. Bears take Elijah Moore. They can go Moore. They can go Marshall. They can go Bateman. Any of these receivers, they're looking to add more on offense. They're done just focusing on defense altogether. They want to make this offense as explosive as they can. Elijah Moore is an explosive player from the inside and can play out as well. Insanely good after the catch, sure-handed. Pair him with a guy like Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney. We're looking at one of the better receiver trios in football, just like that. So I would like that pick. Colts get Christian Darrisaw, ends up dropping for them. This is kind of big-time scenario, maybe a grade A scenario for them. They plug him in at left tackle. Problem solved there. They could focus on pass rush, next. So that'd be fantastic. Titans go Terrace Marshall. They can go Rashad Bateman in this scenario. I'm starting to think Marshall's kind of a Titans guy here, looking to replace Corey Davis, a long kind of built receiver that can play, that kind of has the body for outside and can play outside, but could also play inside for a longer guy, and that's Terrace Marshall. It's exactly Terrace Marshall there. So, and they seem to be, I kind of noticed that, they seem to be high on guys. We know that there are some GMs, scouts that will value guys being a high recruit, 5-star recruit. And they kind of base things off that they can develop them better than the college, or they're still developing. So they got him. Marshall was a big-time recruit. So I think the Titans will like that as well. It's not, going to ultimately decide a pick. It's not high on their checklist, but that's just something I noticed. It feels like they pick a lot of those guys. But I would like Marshall as a Corey Davis replacement. The Jets take Azeez Ojulari. I really like this fit in Robert Saleh's scheme. They could go. This is a tough prediction on what the Jets will do at 23. They can go a number of routes. They can go with another pass rusher to pair with Carl Lawson. They can go with the offensive line, a number of different types of guys across the offensive line. Corner, they can go Caleb Farley. They can go a number of routes here. I like the fit here. Carl Lawson's going to be on one side just rushing the passer, and then they kind of want on the opposite side in that scheme, they want a pass rusher, but that also can drop in coverage, and Ojulari has some reps, some solid reps dropping in coverage for Georgia there, but a pass rusher first. So Carl Lawson kind of like that Nick Bosa for Robert Saleh. Ojulari kind of like that D4, which is very important in that defense. So I do like the fit. Steelers take Caleb Farley. They need offensive line. They need quite a few things at this point, which was not the Steelers last year. They felt like a pretty damn complete team for the most part. But now they need a number of things. They go Caleb Farley, the Virginia Tech cornerback here, who has tremendous upside. If there was no injury concern, he'd be picked way before this, but it sounds like this is his range. But I think Mike Tomlin may jump all over this, but again, they can go a number of routes. Next group of picks, the Jags go Trevon Moehrig. They could use another safety. They got Rayshawn Jenkins. I don't think that's anything set. I think they're going to be more of a hybrid defense, given different looks. So I think Jenkins is in there when they want to give a single high look. Moehrig could play strong and he can play free. He can have split safety looks. I think they're going to be shuffling these guys in and out. A lot of these guys, a guy like Moehrig, with his versatility at the safety position, he's a guy that's on the field at all times, So I think they'll like him, but I don't think they're done with their secondary, even though they built with this and some guys. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Browns take Kwity Paye. So Kwity Paye ends up dropping, I think, because I think quarterbacks end up pushing a lot of good players back because there's a number of quarterbacks. But Jason Away really soaring up, and Jalen Phillips, I kind of already had him up there, but soaring up. Pushes him back a little bit, Paye back a little bit, and pair him with Myles Garrett's looking pretty good there. Ravens get their receiver. They get Rashad Bateman, who could go earlier in this. It just depends on preference there. He ends up dropping a little bit, just a little bit there. It's definitely a realistic range. Could play in a slot, play outside. Could end up being kind of that Justin Jefferson of this year. Maybe not quite as good, but could be that impact guy that kind of plays all over the place. The Ravens would love to have him. Jamin Davis, a big-time rise, athletic freak linebacker that is very good in coverage, actually experienced in man coverage, which is pretty impressive, pretty physical, knows how to get his hands on the targets without interfering. And the Saints will be looking for another linebacker. I would like for them to look for a receiver. They could go corner, but it's kind of DeMario Davis on an island out there. I know they got Bond last year. There's not a ton of invested in him, but he could step up. But I think they'll be interested in getting a guy like this to pair with Davis. They value the position. They've been trying to look for guys like this. So he's been soaring up board. So it's a possibility he go. It could be a Browns pick, could be a Saints pick, could be a Packers pick. Anywhere in that range. Packers go Jalen Mayfield. I kind of like this. I like the fit. I like the prediction, even though it's not too common. Because you think the Packers. What do the Packers need? We talk about receiver every year. I think they still need an inside linebacker, even though they got some young guys that could step up there. They need a defensive lineman. Kenny Clark's alone up there. They could use these things, but they never really go for those things. They have their values. They have their values set, and they always value the offensive line. They always have a very good offensive line. They know how to develop them. They know when to choose them. They know when to pick them up and get them ready for the future. There's never really a gap where they're bad and okay, we need to take one now. No, they do it before it's too late. They're one of those teams, and the way I think they see it, there's probably a number of things, but the way I think they see it is the offensive line very much let them down in one game last year, the most important game. It was one of the best offensive lines all season, and it let them down in that game. So they kind of, in their minds, they probably need to upgrade from there. Also, they kind of took a hit this offseason with their offensive line as it was. I think they take a guy like Mayfield, and you got a guy like Turner who can play right tackle and you can play guard. I mean, they got a guy like Elgin Jenkins who can play all over the place. Big fan of his game. But Mayfield, I think a right tackle or a guard, I think they probably put a guy like Mayfield, who I think they'll like, a bully blocker from Michigan. I think they'll like him. They probably put him at right tackle, put Turner at guard there, but it could be vice versa as well. But this is a realistic route for the Packers. They don't do what people kind of want them to do or what they expect them to do or go off their thought of the biggest needs. So I do like the fit as well. Bills go Tyson Campbell here, corner from Georgia. I've been talking that I think he could potentially go first round because he's got the traits. He's long, athletic, physical. When you draft corners, it's one of those positions you draft off upside. You for sure draft off upside. And this guy might be the ultimate upside cornerback of the class. So I think he can sneak in the first round here, pair him with Tre'Davious White. Could be ideal. Could go a guy like Greg Newsome too. Calvin Joseph from Kentucky. All possibilities. Chiefs kind of filled out their offensive line. They could be looking to get better, but they got, some guys coming back, and they added some guys. Maybe a guy like Lucas Nang could step up next year as well. They tried to get receivers. They kind of missed on some, so they get their guy here, Kadarius Toney, who kind of fits the profile. Got that speed. Pair him in there with that group. It could be dangerous. Buccaneers go Christian Barmore, defensive lineman that can move around a bit, so kind of preparing for the future, but he helps them right now. Not a whole lot of giant needs for the Buccaneers. On the second round, the Jags go Trey Smith, Tennessee guard. He came in as a top recruit as a tackle, and he played very well there. He's just better at guard, but that kind of gives you, a bonus there that he can step in wherever you need him. This could be Norwell's last year. Trey Smith can just beat him out, and they can. It kind of felt like they had to take a pay cut. Kind of felt like they're looking for this anyways. And then Cam Robinson, franchise tag, so they could be looking for the left tackle in the future. Kind of, obviously, you can't play both positions at the same time, but it kind of gives you more comfort. And I think he's a dominant player. I think he's worth that pick. Jets go Landon Dickerson. They can play him at center or guard. The Falcons take Travis Etienne. I really like the fit of Javonte Williams for them. But they get a hard runner like Mike Davis, and they'll look for a guy that can catch the ball, has more upside catching the ball, which all these guys do. So they'll be looking at a guy like Etienne. Quinn Minor's stock is soaring up. There's a little bit of talk he could sneak in the first round. I don't know if I see it. D3 stud, tore up his workout pro day, and the Senior Bowl. Could play center, could play guard. I think the Dolphins would be all over this guy. I think it's a good fit. They're looking for their center. Do you want to go in with Skura as your center? I don't know if it's ideal. I think they'll like him. It's just one of those teams I got a feeling. Sometimes I get these weird feelings that I think they'll like him and a plug and play. So the offensive line, just gets an upgrade there, another piece in there. And it's just looking really complete at this point with this scenario. Eagles goes Zaven Collins. Another guy that could sneak into first round. It's tough. I kind of always have him early second, but he could sneak into first. Eagles definitely could use some linebackers here. Bengals go Alex Leatherwood, so they get that guy that, I think they probably put him at guard. They probably keep Jonah Williams at left tackle, and they put Leatherwood at guard. And the Panthers take Asante Samuel Jr. Could use a corner. I like the fit a lot here. I really like the fit. They run a lot of cover 3. I think Asante Samuel Jr. can thrive in a cover 3 scheme there. Greg Newsome, a guy that easily can go into the first round, very talented. It's mainly based off this year, and it's a small sample size, so that'd be the reason why some teams may hold off a little bit, but he definitely can go first, and the Broncos would love to have him. Lions get their receiver now. They get Rondale Moore, a shifty receiver that they could definitely use. Giants get their inside linebacker. I think they'll like Nick Bolton. I think they're Gettleman's always the guy that's on the lookout for these linebackers, the instinctive type linebackers, and that's exactly what Nick Bolton is. So they pair him with Blake Martinez. Niners go Calvin Joseph, had a really good pro day, the Kentucky corner, so they upgrade there. Greg Rousseau from Miami ends up dropping a little bit. Not the best pro day. Other pass rushers, looking better, looking like they're going to go earlier. But the Cowboys don't let him pass here, and they get a pass rusher that can move around a bit to pair with a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence. The Jags go Javon Holland here, defensive back from Oregon. I love the fit of Javon Holland with the Jaguars. I had him taking Trevon Moehrig, who's a safety. He'll play free. He can play strong. I know they got Jenkins, but like I said, they're going to be doing a whole bunch of different things. Javon Holland will mainly be viewed as a slot corner, kind of like a Tyrann Mathieu type player where he's kind of listed as a strong safety. He'll play a little bit everywhere, but mainly a slot corner. So I think they'll like to have, complete the secondary with a guy like this. Because they're going to be shuffling guys in and out, different look defense they're planning on doing here. So, and they'll value a guy that can play in the slot. So, even though some may disagree because you had Moehrig and Holland, they're not the same player first off. But it's just something I think could really fit the Jag. I like both those guys as fits for the Jaguars. The Patriots get their quarterback here in Kellen Mond, who really can sneak in the end of the first round. Maybe the Patriots trade up for him at the end of the first round. I love the upside of Kellen Mond. Familiar with the pro-style offense as well, pro-style playbook. Great athleticism, great throw on the run ability, has the arm strength, needs to be a little more consistent with the accuracy. Love the upside here with the Patriots. Chargers get their left tackle. They get Samuel Cosmi. Raiders get Jamar Johnson, the safety from Indiana. He can play free or strong. I like him at free. His best moments at strong are when he blitzes. They kind of get creative with that, but mainly at free, which they need here. Next up, we got Cardinals take Najee Harris. He ends up falling a little bit, just a little bit, and then the Cardinals end up taking him and putting him with Chase Edmonds there, so that'd definitely be interesting. It'll be fun to watch. And the Dolphins get their running back in Javonte Williams. I'm a big fan of his game. Tough runner, so I think they're really, the only thing, could they add another receiver? Earlier here, it's a possibility, but we just don't know. We just don't know. Do they like where their receiver room's at? Even though Fuller's on a 1-year deal, they got Devontae Parker. Preston Williams is coming back, and they did get Robert Foster. See how much they like him, and they got some tight ends out there. So it's nobody's in there. Nobody knows. Do they think they need a receiver? Do they think they're set? It's up in the air. But I like these fits for them here. Washington goes Jabril Cox, so they get that linebacker that has some pretty good coverage ability there. He's kind of a little on the underrated side. He could possibly sneak in the late first. I don't think so, but it's a possibility. Bears go Kyle Trask. I kind of view Trask as kind of a Nagy. I think Nagy will like Kyle Trask. I don't know if there's enough wow for Kyle Trask. For me, kind of like a Kellen Mond. Trask is probably better, safer than Mond right now. You can debate that. But, do you take a quarterback that there's no wow? He did improve, this year, so that maybe he can continue to improve. It's a possibility. I think he'll fit that Nagy system. They could be looking for the future quarterback there. Titans go Tommy Tremble. I think I've had this, quite a bit. They're looking for a tight end that can be a sneaky athlete and catch the ball more, maybe upgrade the blocking aspect there, and that would be Tommy Tremble. Colts get their pass rusher, Carlos Basham. junior who can sneak in the end of the first round. He had a pretty good pro day, losing a little bit of weight and running in the 4.6s for his size. Pretty good power rusher. He'll fit the Colts scheme there. Steelers go Dylan Raduns, a guy that can play tackle or guard, so they'll like him. The Seahawks lost Shaq Griffin, replace him with Eric Stokes, the corner from Georgia, physical corner, also pretty athletic. Rams go Wyatt Davis, so upgrades on the inside there. Could be retooling their offensive line here and there. Ravens go Joseph Asai, who could play off the edge for them or can play inside and be used as a blitzer because he's familiar with both, so I do like the fit here. Browns take Baron Browning, linebacker from Ohio State, one of the more versatile players in the draft. Had a really good pro day as well, so he can sneak up to the second round. He has reps as an off the ball outside, off the ball inside, in outside linebacker as an edge rusher. I've seen him line up in the slot plenty of times. I've seen him line up at outside corner at times. So you talk about versatility here. So I think the Browns will like that, mixing him in there, mainly playing him an off the ball linebacker. Saints go Milton Williams. A guy that could move around a bit as well. He can play more of a, I think they'll use him inside. I think they'll like his pass rush ability from the inside, but he also can play at defensive end as well. So I think it's a guy the Saints will like. I'm a big Milton Williams fan. He's a freak defensive lineman. Really good get off. I think he got a lot of upside as well. Bills go Joe Tryon, edge rusher from Washington. Opted out this past year, but pretty good production year before. Good bull rush. I think the Bills will like him, looking out for the future at the edge rush position. I would love this pick for the Packers. I would absolutely love this pick. I'd be all on board here. De'Ami Brown, big fan from North Carolina. Just a dominant deep threat. Just a dominant deep threat with the good speed, good twitch. I think he can be more than he is more than a deep threat. You've seen him run kind of across the middle of the field, but I think he could be more of everything at the next level as well. This will make the Packers that much better. I like the fit as well. Chiefs get, a left tackle, get some competition for Lucas Nang perhaps in there. Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. Really good run blocker right off the bat. Could look to improve his pass protection. And the Buccaneers take Davis Mills, the quarterback from Stanford. His stock has gone up. He's getting some buzz. Could definitely go earlier. And the buzz been saying a little earlier in this, just in this scenario, so end up being, maybe you can argue you should go ahead of Trask. I just think, maybe the Bears would be a little more in on a guy like that. But Buccaneers get Davis Mills, a perfect guy to learn behind Tom Brady for a couple years here. That'd be very much ideal, and they can afford to do it because they don't have a ton of giant needs there, of course. And it's not always about the needs anyways. But that is my updated mock. I really like these fits, feeling really good about this. But at the end of the day, the draft, it's why it's so great. It's very unpredictable. Who knows what the hell is going to happen. I cannot wait. My favorite days of the year. We'll have you covered fully for that as it's going on after with all, everything grades. We do them after each day too. So we actually have videos come out after each day. A lot of talking live on that Twitter as well. So any link that you need will be in the comments. Make sure you check all that out. Join us, subscribe for all that great content. Appreciate you guys for that support. It's been awesome lately. And thank you for watching this video. That's going to do it. Goodbye.